Now, I think some of you, in fact, most of you, probably think I've made a big mistake buying the cheapest Cayman S in the whole entire country. And in fact, you're probably not wrong. Since winning the Cayman S at the auction, we've worked out that every single panel has got damage to it, to the point where most of them are no good to anyone. And we worked out in the last video that some of the damage wasn't even caused by the crash. It was actually caused by a forklift picking the car up at the auction place, like these holes here and here. And another thing that's literally just came to mind, bearing in mind how bad this accident was, whoever was driving the Porsche at the time of the accident was definitely not wearing a seatbelt, because this seatbelt is locked in this position, which normally happens when the airbags blow, which they have on this side. So I dread to think the injuries that they would have had. Now, despite the damage on the Porsche and the little hiccup we had in the last video with the radiator, we've still only spent £19,700, and that's including the car. But of course, we are going to need to replace that front radiator. So I've already learned that parts aren't cheap for this Porsche, so I've got to be extra careful when working on this thing to make sure we don't make any more mistakes like the last one. Wow. So that's blew a radiator. But regardless of that, I am determined to fix this and get it back on the road. So we've got a lot to do today. I've decided, and I'm sure you guys will agree, that most of this side of the car is not salvageable and all needs to come off, including the rear quarter and the A-pillar. I've never in my life removed an A-pillar or a rear quarter, so this one is definitely going to be interesting. Now, before I even start thinking about the A-pillar and the rear quarter, there's so many more damaged parts on the Porsche that need to be removed. One of them including this door. But along with the damaged parts, there are some parts that are salvageable. So I'm going to be taking off the good parts before throwing away the bad parts. All the trims and the wiring looms inside the door are going to be easily transferred onto a new door. And although the glass is smashed, the window regulator still looks in okay condition. And surprisingly, the wing mirror doesn't have any damage either. So that was just one bolt to remove it, and then we can slide all the wiring loom out with it. To remove the door, there's one bolt holding the check strap to the chassis of the car. We can then slide out all the wiring loom for the door. And then there's two grub screws clamping the hinges to the frame of the car. And then we should just be able to lift this door off, giving us much better access to that A-pillar. So, do you know when we title these videos rebuilding? This is a genuine rebuild, this car. There's not really much on it that doesn't need replacing. Even this door card, like this is all broken at the bottom. I don't know how that's happened. There's loads of mud on the door card, which I don't know how that's happened inside the car. Where the airbag is blown from the inside here, I think it's ripped the top of the door card. And you know what? I'm actually surprised. I think a Porsche is meant to be kind of like a premium car. This kind of feels a bit Volkswagen Polo-y type of door card, but this is going to need replacing. Luckily, I think all these trims here, the burgundy red, which is not my favorite of colors, I think they are transferable onto another door card though, so we don't have to find the exact same color door card. So yeah, that's no good. Moving on to this part. The seats. Now, along with the door card airbag blowing, the seat airbag has also gone on the passenger side. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the burgundy red centers on the seats, so I may look to see if I could upgrade or just replace them completely. But for the meantime, I'm going to get the seat out. That way I can dismantle the seat to check the part number on the airbag and weigh up what's going to be the best decision with them. So there's a lot of mess in here. Some of this including cyclosine hydrochloride tablets, which I've Googled. It's a anti-sickness pill. 3 of them have been taken. Hopefully that was before the crash. So a quick cleanup was definitely needed before I carried on. Next up, removing the seat belts. Both of these are completely locked out. With the Aston Martin, we sent the seatbelts off to have the tensioners replaced and reset. And now imagine the way that these prices are going with the Porsche parts, that will probably end up doing the same thing with this car. Once I've got that seatbelt out, I've got to remove the rear glass. Well, what's left of the rear glass from the quarter. There's a bolt at the bottom, a bolt at the top, and then the rest is just all on clips. And then moving quickly on to the side skirt. This doesn't look so bad, but there is 2 pierce holes where we think the forklift has gone straight into it. And once the side skirt is off, it's time for the boot. This is truly a removal marathon. Not only is the glass smashed in the boot, but it's also pretty badly dented.
A chain reaction grabs me from within. She sweeps me off my feet and then puts me down again.
With the boot removed, it's time for the rear bumper to come off. To get the rear bumper off, I've got to remove the rear lights. These were held in by one 10mm bolt, and then I had to sort of knock the bolt through to push the rear lights away from the car. Then I could access 2 more bolts which held the bumper on. I then quickly realised I had to remove the spoiler to be able to pull the bumper away from the car. And that's pretty much one stripped apart Cayman-esque. One thing's for sure, I have never stripped apart a car to this extent ever, never mind a Porsche. But the more I strip it apart, the less damage it's beginning to look. Well, in my eyes it is. And it's slowly starting to reveal those little spot welds that we need to access. So check this out, I've already ordered a rear quarter from Porsche, an A-pillar from Porsche, and a roof from Porsche. Some manufacturers can be funny about ordering structural parts directly from them if you're not a registered repair centre, but Porsche, they were completely fine about me ordering anything, and the price weren't actually too bad. But we'll get onto pricing when they finally arrive. For now, let me show you what we need to take off. Now, when the Porsche is built from the factory, this rear quarter, which runs all the way along down here, up here, along the A-pillar, all the way down here and joins to this part there, that is all one huge piece. But if you want to buy that full piece, it's not possible. They're actually sold individually. I can't quite remember the reason why, but they do start off around here and they end around there. And then when you buy the A-pillar, it starts off there and then it ends in that same spot there and you have to join it up. The rear quarter and the A-pillar should actually arrive tomorrow, so we can see exactly where we need to join it. But before we can fit the new quarter and the new A-pillar, we need to get the old one off, which means we have to drill out all of these individual spot welds there and separate it from the skin on the inside. So this is just an outer skin to it. And I'm pretty sure, as well with the roof, again, this runs along the back here, which I've just found out. These are all spot welded on all around there, so we need to drill them off. And there may be some underneath, so the roof lining has got to come out so we can access all of that. So we're still not there. Let's carry on. Off we come with the roof lining. Now, a common question that I get asked is, how do I know how to do all of this? And the simple answer is, I don't. I learn as I go along. I think some people think you need to be a mechanic to be able to work on cars. The same as some people think you need to be a computer whiz to build a website. Well, in fact, you couldn't be any more wrong, because anyone can build a website using Squarespace, who have sponsored today's video. Now, Squarespace do everything from websites
to online stores
to marketing tools
to analytics.
Squarespace really is the all-in-one platform to build and run your business. Just look how easy it is to pick a template using Squarespace. And once you've got a template, you can go in and edit it, drag and drop your own photos in there, drag and drop your own logos in there, and within minutes, it's beginning to look like your own site. There's also a bunch of amazing marketing tools like email campaigns. So when you need a website, go to squarespace.com or just click the link in the description box below, and when you're ready to launch, use code Matt Armstrong, and that's going to give you 10% off your first website or domain name. Thanks Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Back to the Porsche. That was way easier than I expected. I mean, taking apart an Aston Martin roof lining, I imagine that would have taken me hours. This was a couple of minutes. I had a Volkswagen Lupo back in the day, and all of this stuff feels kind of like Lupo-y, Polo-y type, and everything's on clips. Honestly, it wasn't what I expected. And I've done all that, and I'm not sure I actually needed to. Like, all of this is the inner skin, and you can see all the spot welds here, which is the inner skin. We want to obviously take off the roof, and like, unless the top bit's there, I don't know how you're going to drill that out though. I'm not so sure about this now, how I'm going to get this roof off. Unless the roof is only held on with the spot welds along the front and the spot welds along the back, but that just doesn't seem right to me. There's only really one way to find out. I can start taking off this rear quarter and the A-pillar and see if it sort of exposes anything to do with the roof. So here we go, a lot of spot welds to drill out to get this rear quarter off. I bought some special spot weld drill bits, which came in a special box as well, and I was excited to use them. These drill bits are designed just to drill through the first layer of the spot weld and not to go any further than that. That way it keeps welding to a minimal when we put the new rear quarter on the car. But after about 10 minutes of using my special spot weld drill bits, I realised they were crap, and I just resorted in using the grinder with a sanding disc on. This sanded down the spot welds super thin so they became nice and brittle so I could chisel them off easily. Little did I know what I was getting myself into when I started this, but it's one of those jobs which I've started now and I've got to finish. But after hours of hammering and chiseling, I finally managed to pull the rear quarter away from the car. How cool is this? So the rear quarter is off now. Well, part of the rear quarter is off, and how cool is this? You can see all the separate little parts which come together to build this Porsche. And the good news is this actual inner structure here, there's no damage on it, there's no dents on it, and that'll be partly why this wasn't a category S car, a category N car, a non-structural one, because this rear quarter here is so light, it literally is just a cover for all the structural parts. So you can see here, this is what I've ordered from Porsche, the rear quarter and the A-pillar there. But I haven't cut it all off just yet, and I still can't work out how to get the roof off. But there was only one way to find out, and that was to attack it with the angle grinder. I just cut out a small section just to see if I could see any joins from the roof to the rear quarter. And it looks as if the roof was just bonded to the rear quarter, not actually welded to it.
Mid-paint songs, one-night stands. You can keep your picket fence fantasies and put a cork in your high school memories. This is my country, my damn country. Give me my country, you can keep the rest. This is my country, my damn country. And it don't mean a thing if it don't pass the test. If you ain't never spent a single night in jail, then get another job and I'll see you in hell.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Cayman S convertible. The Cayman S convertible. The new 718 Cayman S with the super safe removable hardtop. Super safe! Want to show off your impressive hairline? You now can with the full window delete. It also includes sharp aerodynamic bodywork and the stylish one-seater interior. Order now for the limited edition 2-spoke wheels. Terms and conditions apply. All work is carried out by unprofessionals. Please do not try this at home. So, the roof is now off the Cayman S, and there was nothing connected it from the front to the back. It was all just bonded to the side of the quarter panel, and you can't actually take the quarter panel off without taking the roof off. Check this out. All these spot welds here, you can see, are actually underneath the roof. So I'm still gonna have to do some more sort of drilling out to get the quarter off there properly, but at least we managed to get the roof off and kind of the quarter panel. And just like that, near enough, a whole half of a Porsche has been delivered. Now, one thing I've noticed from jumping across from the Aston Martin to the Porsche is that Porsche parts are a lot easier to get hold of. And we have to actually say a massive thanks to Silverstone Porsche and Design 911 for this. Although the parts definitely weren't free. So we'll get onto the prices of everything later on, but we've actually got a lot more than I originally thought, which means, well, it's good in some ways and bad in others. Good in some ways that we're going to be able to make it look nice and fresh and new on the rear quarter, but bad in ways that I've got to do a lot more chiseling. So for future reference, if any of you guys order a rear quarter from Porsche, this is what you're gonna get. And this is what I've taken off. And you may notice there's quite a lot more on that than what I've taken off this. So the first thing I noticed, we actually have the rear lighthouse in with this rear quarter. And I actually left all of this on the car, which is not a problem. I can still get that off and put that one on, or I can choose to take it off that one and put it on this one. And not only that, it came with loads more parts. I did cut mine here because I wasn't sure how far down the rear quarter was gonna go, but it turns out it goes all the way down to where it joins up nicely there, and you've got a bit of seam sealer running over the top of it. So whether we replace this whole thing and put that on, I've still got to decide what is best and what's going to be the easiest and what's going to line up and sort of be hidden as well. You don't want anyone to see that it's had a full new quarter. Apart from every single person who's watched this video would know that. Then we have the A-pillar, and together we pretty much have an entire car. If you can see here, there is a joining mark just there, and the guys from Porsche said I think there's about a centimetre or so overrun, which you can cut down and make it fit perfectly. It's going to be a bit of a challenge, but luckily we have Mark who's coming down to help me do all the welding, and he should be able to master that. So then that leaves us with all of these parts here, and I didn't go half-hearted with this build. Now, you guys have been watching me long enough now to know when there's a chance to replace something, there's always a chance to upgrade it. And that's exactly the case here. Check out all of this carbon. Now, I get way too ahead of myself. I get excited, I see something I like, and I just buy it. And that's exactly what I've done here. What you see here is a 718 Gt4 Body Kit, and it looks absolutely mental. All of this is carbon fiber front splitter, carbon fiber rear diffuser. We've got this sort of swan neck spoiler as well, which is absolutely massive. I can't wait to see that on. And a Gt4 front bumper. This is a genuine Gt4 front bumper. One of them would have cost a fortune, so we saved quite a bit buying a sort of replica one. It's really sort of flexible as well, so it should, fingers crossed, fit nice. And it doesn't just stop there. There's still a lot more in these boxes, which should be a full complete puzzle to rebuild this Porsche. Knowing I was going to get all this carbon, and knowing that I was going to chop off the old roof, I thought it was a perfect opportunity to upgrade the roof to a carbon one. But the guys at Porsche mentioned the Gt4 doesn't come with a carbon roof, but the new Gt4 RS does come with a carbon roof. The problem is, for a carbon roof for the Gt4 RS, it's around £30,000. So I give that one a pass. And you can see why here, because the standard roof cost me £487. And whilst we're on the expense board, the A-pillar cost me £870. Exactly. And then moving on to the rear quarter, £1,108.33, bringing the total cost of the car and all the parts so far to £22,165.33. We'll get onto the cost of the Gt4 kit in a later video, but it's not as bad as you actually think. But for now, it seems I've got my work cut out, quite literally. So if you've enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.